Hello, love wrestling. It's Thursday night. It's 8 p.m. And you know what that means. It's another new episode of Between Two Beards.
Can we start off with the biggest news of the week? The Rats lost! If you've got the budget, I've got the time.
There he is.
Hey, boss!
There's the boss.
Hey!
The man with the finest beard on this screen.
Canadian men, boys, shut the hell up. Let me talk.
You see, the Rads are resourceful. When I got beef with somebody, I can find a way to talk to them.
Listen between two beers.
Hello, love wrestling. It is 8 p.m. It is Thursday night. And by now, y'all better know what that means.
If they don't know what it means, tell them, JPJ. You tell
It's
them
another
what it
episode of Between
Goddamn.
Two Beards. We got people hopping in the chat already. We got Zach in the chat saying hello. We got Ophelia saying it's Thursday. Zach, last call. Here we go. We got a big one tonight. We got the hard hour tonight because following us, we have another new edition of Quiz Plex. We'll talk about that in a little bit later before we get out of here. We got Bebe popping in saying hello.
Yeah, the Quizplex has got the returning champion Thaddeus Archer. Pollo Del Mar, sorry, I can't speak. And Phil Billy Silas of the NWA. That's gonna be fun.
Sure is.
Thaddeus is part of a very formidable group in Love Pro Wrestling. Seven, who I love so much.
Yes.
But you know what that means. If we have someone from Seven, we couldn't be left out. We had to make it happen. We said we can't. We get like Zach announces all this fun stuff for Quizplex every month, and we can't be left out. We can't be. So we had to call in not one mind, but two. The man of two minds, the one, the only. Jack Pride, your first ever LPW Scramble champion, is joining us tonight.
He is, and he's going to be joining us just in a minute.
It's exciting to stay here.
Yeah, before we bring them on.
You want to talk about the Celtics?
No, we are not going to talk about the Celtics. We are not.
Super chats.
We are not going to talk about the Celtics. All right? One thing we're not going to do.
All right, we only got an hour. Let's get
all right.
What
we are going to talk about.
Pride on, baby.
Yes, I know. What we are going to talk about is our brand new brand partner, and that is BetStamp. Today's podcast is brought to you by the BetStamp app, which is helping thousands of people win at sports betting for free. The same way travelers use Google Flights or Expedia to find the best prices, bettors can now use BetStamp to do the exact same. When you place a bet, the odds given by a sportsbook will determine how much you can possibly win. Even when betting on the same outcome, different sportsbooks will offer varying payouts, and these differences can be huge. Thankfully, BetStamp allows you to easily line shop for the most profitable odds across all sportsbooks. You can click on any matchup and instantly see all the different odds for game lines, player props, and even future bets. Line shopping is the simplest way to find an edge in sports betting and maximize your chances of winning long term. On average, BetStamp users win an extra $1,000+ yearly just by line shopping. You can find the BetStamp app on your Apple Store, the Google Play Store, or through your browser at www.betstamp.app. That's www.betstamp.app. To access all these benefits, sign up using promo code Love Wrestling, as you see right on your screen right there, and start your journey to successful sports betting today. You can do that right now. You can sign up. And don't worry, if you forget to use the code upon signing up, you can always enter it later in your BetStamp account settings afterwards. So please go check out BetStamp at www.betstamp.app.
And if you would have used BetStamp last night here in the great state of Indiana and took the heat, you might have won some money.
Maybe. But that's the last time we're friggin' talking about it, all right? We got a big guest. We're getting him on the show right now, all right? That's what we're going to do. You mentioned it.
I said.
The inaugural, the first ever LPW Scramble champion, one Jack Pride of 7.
2 Jack Pride.
Well, that is true. That is 2. That is 2. Hello. Thank you for being here. We're very excited to have you here, my friend. Thank you.
Oh, no problem, guys. It is good to be here.
Absolutely.
So did you happen to catch a Celtics game last night?
No, how dare you?
Sorry.
How dare you?
JPJ, big Boston sports fan. I had to do it. We only have the hour. I'm glad you joined us. Like you said, inaugural Scramble champion in LPW, a mainstay in LPW, a day one guy. But I don't normally do this when we have a guest on, but I'd like to talk about another wrestler, just kind of get it out of the way and talk about it because it was a huge deal this past Saturday. You took part in Michael Richard Blaze's 20th year anniversary Infinity Gauntlet match for the 8 hours for charity. What was that like? What was the vibe in the building? You took part in the match. What was going through your mind during all that?
That was actually it was a lot of fun. Like, I was there, got there early with a few other people and stayed late, and it was just like everyone there was having fun, hanging out with everybody, being super supportive of Michael, like watching the matches, cheering him on, like when you can see guys kind of, especially like Michael, almost looks like, oh, he needs to fight through something. We get cheering, get him going. It was like, it was just an awesome day. And like watching Michael wrestle for 8 hours like that was just something else. That was wild.
Incredible, really.
Did it inspire you to maybe attempt the same feat?
Oh, if I was,
you can curse
that,
here. It's fine.
Yeah, there would be an obituary following very shortly after.
Oh, I can't even imagine. How sore he was the next day. Just throughout the day, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I obviously look at me. I've never been in the ring. I'm not gonna be in the ring, most likely. I can't imagine how it feels after a 5 or 10 minute match where you're going balls to the wall. Kind of, you know what I mean? And 8 hours, multiple opponents, like crazy.
Yeah, wild.
Boss said swearing is only allowed 3 minutes from now. The YouTube rules in our new home. But yeah, I watched a good chunk of it. There's still more that I need to circle back and check. But the moment at the end, everybody's banging on, doing the countdown. Just felt like everybody there understood, like, this is a huge moment, and we are just stoked to be here, and we're here. This is our friend, and I just had to ask you about it as somebody was there in the building, because like I haven't. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. I don't think anybody's done that I know of, a match of that magnitude. So, good on MRB. He's probably still in bed.
I think for the first time since I've known him, I finally saw what he looks like when he gets tired.
It only took 8 hours. It took 8 hours for that to happen at once.
Not even that. He went 8 hours, 2 minutes, and some change.
Yeah.
At that exact 8 hour mark, I'd have been like, I'm done. Call it.
Over. Draw.
Why are we going overtime? What is this? Who's keeping the time?
Yeah. We have our Love Wrestling account saying, hey, Jack Pride, how was Spencer's refereeing skills? Asking for a friend.
Oh, please bury that hard.
Tremendous.
It's
Spencer was pretty good for a first time. You give himself a little pat on the back for that performance.
You could tell us how you feel about it off air, for real.
Yeah. that is the boss, right? So
it
I
is,
gotta play nice.
We end up in the boss's office on Friday mornings more often than not. So it is what it is. But yeah.
The only Friday mornings we don't end up in his office is LPW shows because he's busy. So he piles on 2 weeks worth of yelling at us the following week. But, you do what you can. And on this show, we'll pay the fine. Don't worry.
We take care. We take care.
We have a lawyer. He'll back you. He'll represent you. It is completely fine.
It is good. All right. My question, usually, this is the first time that we've had a chance to chat, you and I. So usually not to, start all the way at the beginning, but for people that might not know a ton about you, Pride, I like to ask, when was the first time that you found wrestling? When you were younger as a fan? Because at the end of the day, I think most of us, or most of all of us, are fans of professional wrestling. So when was the time that you fell in love with wrestling, or when was the time that you knew this was something you wanted to do?
So wrestling has legitimately been a day one thing for me. There's pictures that exist of me standing in my crib watching wrestling, and
nice.
For growing up, that would be what I would do if I had a day off from school or whatever. I would just go to my grandma's house, and we would either watch Monday Night Raw, we watch Nitro, or we would watch old pay-per-views, because when the pay-per-views came out, she would record them on VHS. So we would just watch the VHSs. And so, yeah, wrestling's been an absolute day one thing for me.
I love it. And was it one of those things that because it was a day one thing, very young, you were like, I want to be a professional wrestler? Or did that come at later? How did that, when did you get that dream? And obviously you're achieving that now.
So that was definitely when I was younger, something that I was always on my mind wanting to do. There was a point in time, actually, I missed basically almost the entire Attitude Era. I saw the formation of the NWO, and then it starts to get fuzzy after that. And then I didn't actually come back to wrestling in any sort of full-time capacity until the lead-in to WrestleMania 19.
Okay.
Great WrestleMania. So it was this weird break that I had from wrestling, but once I came back, it came back in my head, and it was just this has to be a thing. I need to find a way to have this happen.
Awesome. I love that. We got to feel you in the chat saying a grandma story. That's amazing. So that's very cool. Yeah, Pluggo, you got.
No, that's. I was just thinking back to that. I was thinking that was how I grew up in that NWO WCW era. Where you were looking back on it now, you mentioned you missed the Attitude Era, but you remember the NWO. So were you more of a WWC? WWC. I can't speak today. I was in the hot sun for hours watching Little League Baseball. I'm a mess, man. I'm a mess.
Yeah.
Were you a WCW guy?
So, yeah, I was a WCW guy. Grandma was a Hulk Hogan fan, just to her absolute core. And I'm still not fully convinced that Grandma didn't think it was still a little bit real. So she would just get super heated when we would be watching wrestling, and it kind of I don't know if a joke is the way, but it's a funny thing that we've said in our family. So my grandma passed away right before, not right before, but the next pay-per-view after she passed was when Hogan flipped.
Oh, I was gonna ask that. I was gonna ask if.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of made the joke, for better lack of way of putting it, that it was kind of she couldn't have handled seeing that. So it was for the best, whatever.
Yeah.
Of course not, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Grandmas, man, my grandma, I was raised on Indiana Hoosier basketball. My grandma, you would think she was at the game or she was playing the game. The grandmas always have that one little thing, wrestling or whatever, that they just get insanely fixated to. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is truly awesome. Man, now that
she wouldn't have been able to handle the flip.
You don't think so?
She would have hated it. Just absolutely hate, because how Ric Flair's dirtiest player in the game. Anytime he would cheat, or any of the valets would cheat, she'd be yelling at the TV, getting it.
Yeah.
But anytime Hogan would cheat, she would justify all of that. No, that's okay. He had to do that. Like, so yeah, if Hogan went bad, I think she would have just absolutely hated it, and it would have just crushed her.
Dude, I remember being a little guy and being able to go to like house shows and stuff like that. And if there was ever like a grandma in the arena, they would be. Yeah. I remember like young heel Shawn Michaels right after he turned on Jannetty. So he's the the early Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. And I remember being at the Garden in Boston for a house show, and this old grandma was at the barricade like flipping him the bird. And he's going right like that, and it wasn't part of the show. It was like this old grandma she's like Jack just said, his grandma was in front of the TV, like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You know,
nobody
like,
messes with grandmas.
Yeah.
So like my dad has even said, because I've asked, like, you know, how do you think grandma would be like coming to watch me wrestle? And he said like she would have been that grandma, like right up at the guardrail, like yelling at people and
don't you touch
like,
my grandbaby.
Yeah, exactly. Just like
amazing.
Hands off kind of deal.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible.
You think she would have? Do you think she would have gotten on you for some not so savory tactics? If you
no, I think she would have justified all my actions. I could have done no wrong.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. No, when he does it, it's fine. When everyone else does it, that's not happening. That's not in my world.
So you're saying she wouldn't have been a fan of those rads?
She probably would have hated the rads.
Oh, I love your.
She would have fit in with us. I think she would have fit in with us just fine. All right, kind of fast forwarding to now. Obviously, we mentioned at the top of the show, you are the inaugural, the first ever LPW Scramble champion. You won that championship at the last show, LPW 14. What's kind of the mentality? You know, you've kind of done it all. You do singles matches, you've been in tag matches. This is a scramble match. What's kind of the mentality? Does the mentality change? Obviously, you're like, I'm not going against one person here. I'm going against 3, 4, 5. I could, I don't have to get pinned. Like anything can happen here.
And not even that. It was like the who's who of the 5.
Yes, MRB was in there. It was a star-studded, ensemble that you guys had in that match. Like, just what's the mentality going into a match like that where it's going to be probably just utter chaos most of the time?
Yeah, so like the way I always describe like a good scramble match should be like a car accident.
Yeah.
It's a wreck. You don't know how you got there, but bodies strewn everywhere, and it's just the perfect whirlwind of chaos. Prepping for a scramble match, it's definitely different. Because whereas like a singles, obviously you only have like it's just more bodies to worry about than any other match.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to prep for that there's a lot of moving parts. You have to be aware of a lot of people. If you're looking to win the match, you have to have eyes in the back of your head too, right? Because like you were saying, I wouldn't necessarily need to get pinned to lose my title now. So it's one of those things. Anyone who's watched MMA ever hear guys talking about, I went into camp and I prepped for this guy and I did all my things to get ready for him. And that's just not a luxury a scramble champion gets.
Yeah.
So basically the way I would view that is I need to be on peak game at all times. I can't worry about what anyone else is doing.
Yeah.
Because as long as I'm on point, no one's going to beat me.
I like it. Pluggo.
Oh, we never figured this out. We've been doing this.
I usually think it's going to be in every other thing, I'm like, I'll ask.
And then I'm like, maybe he has a sick follow-up.
And then every time it's like, no, what do we want? Huh? What are we doing? You go, Pluggo. I'll dictate if you need. You need me to anchor the ship?
No. You can anchor the ship if you want. You always anchor the ship. I'm just here for Phil. No. But so you get this title, right? That's all you got over that first hump. Like we said, this was like the who's who, all past Scramble winners. The Scramble is an LPW staple, in my opinion. We've had Spencer on, and he's told us about the importance that he puts onto these scrambles. So making a championship out of it is nice. And that's a big deal. My question, I guess, is like, so what's next? We know you got the match at LPW 15. It's going to be a big one. How do you talked about the preparation. I cannot speak today. The preparation that goes into maybe a 1-on-1 match opposed to a 5-on-5 match. But are you head on? All challengers welcome. If Spencer came to you and said, I want to put 10 more people in this Scramble match, are you all for it? Or are you just saying like, hey, that's 5's plenty? How we feeling? What kind of champion are you going to be, Jack Pride?
You don't get a name like Pride if you're not willing to take on anyone that wants to throw their name in the hat. So it doesn't matter who it is. They can show up. There's no one else that thrives in chaos the way Jack Pride does. So you can throw your name in the hat. It doesn't matter. You can line up 5 guys, 50 guys, whatever. The result will continue to be the same. Your winner and still LPW Scramble champion, Jack Pride.
Hell yeah.
I like it.
I got the question out. I was able to.
It's okay. Hey, we got there. We got to the goal. We got to the goll. We're good. We're good.
It's one of those nights. One of those nights where we're just off the rails already.
Ophelia has a question. She says, do you think it's easier or more difficult to be in a Scramble match with people you know really well?
Oh, well, if I'm in there with people that I know more, that's just going to make my life easier, because the other thing with a Scramble match, you're in there with someone you know versus someone that you've never wrestled. Well, now you got to try and download what they're throwing at you. Whereas somebody you've wrestled with, you've got a feel for them. You know what they are capable of. You know what to worry about. So, yeah, it would be an easier night if I had familiarity with people.
Fair.
So
I like it.
So to follow up with that, if I could, I guess, I don't know if we're bouncing back and forth here, but you just said it's easier with people you know. And this match coming up at LPW 15, there's a few people, Mo Jabari, TFA, our friend of the show, TFA, Reed the Thickness Matthews. Those 3 pretty well in your travels. But this wily veteran, as we've dubbed him here at Love Wrestling, Jared Rogers, this is his debut. There's not a lot of tape. Are you more concerned with him than the other 3 who are very decorated competitors themselves?
Well, I mean, I'm certainly not afraid. You're right. There's not a lot of tape on Jared, but again, you don't get a name like Pride without being 2 steps ahead of everybody. Absolutely saw him wrestle the Thickness on the Clandestine show. Have a pretty good idea what he brings to the table. He's exciting, fun to watch. Fans love him. It's going to be a great time, and it's going to suck for him when, at some point he gets dropped on his head. But I mean, that's the cost of doing business.
Wake up call.
I like it. We got our buddy Ryan in the chat saying hello. He's also have guy asking, is Pluggo ever on the rails though? And Ryan says Pluggo doesn't believe in rails. That was a good one. And then we got
one of these days I'll have a decent interview.
Love Wrestling saying, by the way, if you haven't yet, you should watch Pride's first 2 LPW matches, both involving Mo Jabari, who, as Pluggo just said, is one of the opponents in the Scramble match coming up at LPW 50. And we got Mrs. Pluggo popping in the chat saying hello, boys,
Mrs.
as
Pluggo,
well.
Hello, if you're listening, I haven't asked. We might as well do it real quick while she's in the chat. Mrs. Pluggo, if those who don't know, is my wife. And she has, we have the man of 2 minds. So there's 2 separate thought processes here. So I'm hoping to get a straight answer. How many Christmas trees is too many Christmas trees to have in one person's house? The reason I asked is because last year we had 6. So the other day, I walked out to the garage to do yard work, Jack. Are you with me? And I opened the garage, and there's another tree up in our garage, already put up. And I texted her, and I said, where did this come from? So she's now infiltrated a 7th tree into our house. Is that too many Christmas trees for one house?
Are they all full-size Christmas trees? Are they artificial? Are they real?
There's 5 full-size artificial Christmas trees and then 2 accent trees that
accent trees.
But they're still
That's what we're calling
They're
them.
still like pretty decent size.
So not miniature. They're like mid-sized trees. Is that
like
what
waist
you're saying?
height tree?
Yeah. So they're still.
Although
Ophelia
Ophelia is saying 7 does seem like a
7,
great number, though. So,
but is 7 too many in this instance, or are you pro Christmas trees?
This is during Christmas time. Like these aren't all year trees, are they?
We kept one up through Valentine's Day this year, but no, they're not all.
this has been a big time issue.
You
know, this has been like a years-long debate at this show.
I mean, that really does tend to veer into the lane of that's too many trees.
This whole thing started when they had 4.
Yeah,
this started when they had 4. We were like, 4's too many, man.
What rooms have trees in them? Is it like they don't have like bathroom or bedroom trees? I hope. Like,
so we have the living room tree. We have the dining room tree that is flanked by the accent trees at the ends. And then we have the boys have a tree in their room. And then we had a tree in our room. And now we'll have another tree for the other boys' room. I'm not kidding you. I had a bedroom Christmas tree for the first time in my life. It was delightful. I loved
it.
I mean, you know, Ophelia says people deserve to be happy in whatever way they want. Just be a good husband and let her have what she wants.
I happy wife, happy life. I never tell Mrs. Pluggo no. She's the love of my life. When you look like me, you don't tell her no. That's just how we do it in my house. But I just it got out one day on the show. And now it's become a question. And I'm not joking. I'm not making this up. I walked out to the garage to do yard work, and there's a tree already up and ready to be placed.
Like decorated?
Well, it's got the lights on it already. She didn't decorate, but she put it up. It's ready.
Yeah.
She's got to bring it in the house.
I mean, you never be too prepared, I guess.
No.
It's become
Christmas in July, you know.
She's listening.
She's here. She says it's become a challenge.
She's awaiting your answer, Jack Pride. Your answer
it's become a challenge.
Well, at this point, you got to just like steer into it and build up to a tree in every room.
You heard it here first. Was that Jack or was that Pride answering?
Oh, that is absolutely a Jack answer.
All right, you heard it here first. What would Pride say? What does Pride say?
Much more negative answer would be
one tree.
If that.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, you heard it here first. The debate has been settled. We are going to now strive to put a tree in every room of our house. Stay tuned.
Mrs. Pluggo says that's the goal. That's the goal to get a tree in every. A little earlier, Spencer behind the glass said, "Pride, what was your favorite WrestleMania match?"
That feels like an insider question.
Yes, that feels like this has been discussed potentially before.
Yeah, once or twice. There's several answers to that question. I think for this, I'm going to go with the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Ray versus Dominic.
That was great. The storytelling.
You said for this. Now, is that not your real answer?
Well, the real answer was the tag team match at the end, for sure. Like, no doubts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
the Cinnamon Toast Crunch match. How will you feel when Spencer comes to you and says that we're going to do the Fruity Pebbles Scramble extravaganza? Are you down with that?
Well, what are they going to so with the Cinnamon Toast Crunch match, they had like a big person in a suit.
Mascot.
Now, sure. I was debating. I watched WrestleMania Night 1 this year with Spencer and with TJ Cannon. Right. And I debated with those two that the guy was there, and they swore he wasn't.
Oh, he was there.
Yeah, he was absolutely there.
100%.
But it was a point of contention throughout the whole match. Because anytime he would come up on the screen, conveniently they would not be paying attention or distract whatever.
That sounds like a Spencer move.
So if we had like a Fruit Loops Fruity Pebbles match, if we have a mascot, like at least let's make sure it's real. Everyone understands it's there. It's not made up.
Is that, Spencer, is that any way to treat your inaugural Scramble champion?
Unbelievable.
Come on.
Unbelievable.
Come on, Spencer.
Unacceptable.
We put up with a lot here on Beards. We put up with a lot. That's crossing the line. Jack Pride, you are a saint. You are a saint.
Truly.
Absolutely.
Oh
my God.
That's right.
So do you keep up then with the current are you still watching wrestling regularly now that yeah?
I am in a current phase of trying to fall back in love with watching wrestling consistently. Also, I have had the unlucky, with how busy I've been wrestling, honestly, I don't have cable because it's just it would be pointless.
Yeah.
So I don't really keep up with the
That's got to be a good
products.
problem though, to have to be wrestling so much that you don't need cable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a double-edged sword there, but
yeah. This is exactly how you treat your inaugural Scramble champion. Oh man, that's good stuff. So obviously, and we were talking a little bit off screen before we popped on, and you said, Pluggo had asked you, he had said, hey, how cool was it to win this championship? How did it mean? What did it mean to you? And you spoke on it briefly and stuff like that, but you can make an argument that since the beginning of LPW, you have put on the best matches of, anybody.
Some awards.
Yeah, you're, you can just make an argument. Every match you've been in, like Pluggo said, we were talking on stream, has been a banger. It's been terrific. Well, they've been standout matches.
The spot with Son of Irish.
The spot with the Son of Irish with the
MRB title match, this recent thing with Seven and the Rads, you are just in that, you're a focal point of this show, and then to get that title must have been this is my hard work paying off, or was it more of just I knew that? I knew no doubt in my mind.
The truthful, the heartfelt answer is kind of like I had said to you before. I've won titles in the past, and a couple of them were in a promotion that was run by my best friend at the time. So I know it wasn't, but it still felt like it was a friend doing a favor, that kind of thing. Won titles with other promotions that felt more here you go, placeholder-ish. This one definitely did mean the most because it really felt like hard work paying off. I didn't when I had heard that this was going to be a thing, I wasn't immediately oh, yep, that's mine. But when I got told that that's going to be yours, I was oh, damn, it felt like being recognized, being seen. Yeah, so that was really cool for me.
That's awesome. And obviously well-deserved. Go ahead, Pluggo. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so in the wrestling business, and I've never had a chance to ask this, I guess, or I've never thought about it until just now when you said I got told that this is mine. And it felt oh, I definitely earned this. How long do you relish in that moment? Obviously when you have the title, you're going to hold it, to a high regard and treat it it's the best thing ever. I can't speak today. I can't form a thought, but you're going to treat it with the utmost respect. But how long after that night do you just sit there and look at it or just enjoy that before you're all right, it's time to get back into it and get back to business?
So for me, kind of that celebration in the ring, it was in character, but that was as real as that, as real as I could be through my character in that moment. That's what that was for me. So all that, how I celebrated that's how I that was me being true to myself. And then backstage, I just kind of took a moment when I was getting changed. There was no one around. I just kind of sat in the moment thinking about it and just accepting that I had done something good and being yeah, I feel good about this. So yeah, I wouldn't say a super long time because it's I don't know. I try not to come on pride's a gimmick. I try not to be a conceited human being. I try not to be like that. And so I don't if I let myself sit in those moments too long, it feels like I'm bragging. So I just kind of take my moment and let it go. And then back to, getting to training, getting to the gym, the hard work keeps going, right?
Yeah, I hear that. And we got Spencer actually saying that I can say that because Pride is the first ever Scramble champion, not just in LPW history, but in Western Canadian wrestling history. He says never has been one before, and now we have two. So that's pretty cool. That's
actually that's
pretty dope.
Insane to think. I mean, we do this weekly on this show because we're from the States. Yes. I'm assuming Canada's a big
facts
place.
about Canada weekly.
So having the entire western side of it, you be the first ever Scramble champion in its history. That's got to be huge. Somebody, Ophelia will be in the comments pretty soon to be like, that really is. We joke in jest. Of course, that's huge. Of course, that's huge.
Yeah, that was like the first time Spencer told me that. It was just kind of like another one of those, just like take a moment to just like grasp like kind of what that means. And then, yeah, same thing, just like, oh, damn, that's like pretty damn big. It's like, okay, now I've won the thing. And like, even how I approach professional wrestling and even titles or like success in this is how I would like approach a quote unquote real sport. Cool, I won the thing. In my opinion, you're not a champion until your first defense. So the hard work continues. Like, yes, the cool thing is done. Yes, the history is made. Yes, this is special. But now to like, instead of a moment, let's make a legacy kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
So all of the promotional work we did this week, calling you the first ever Scramble champion, is not true because you haven't defended it yet. Well, I gotta wait till the. Come on.
Okay, so you're a champion, you've won, but like the true test of a champion is being able to defend it. I will change my wording for you there.
I like that mentality. I like that mentality. And we got TJ Cannon.
TJ Cannon
popping up in the chat saying the man of two minds. Good to see you.
7 all over the place. We got
We got 7, and we got Thaddeus coming up on Quizplex. Returning champion.
Yeah, returning champion. You're a
returning champion. Taking over Love Pro Wrestling tonight, the 7.
In a speaking of that, the Quizplex champion, Thaddeus Archer III. How did that partnership come to be? That was a bit of a shock. I believe that was LP. I don't want to. God, we've had so many of these now. Is LPW 12, 13? No, it would have been 13. That was last month. 11 or 12. You guys formed, and I've been saying it on this program since it happened. This is one of the most formidable groups Love Pro Wrestling has ever seen. And a certain group didn't believe me. But how did that come to be? How did you four decide like it's time?
So with Thad, that's been an extra special one. That's been probably 5-6 years in the making. Since the first time Thad and Jack Pride crossed paths, he was responsible for getting Jack Pride a contract with one wrestling company, and then a couple years later, he was responsible for getting Jack Pride a contract with PWA. Jack Pride and Thaddeus Archer have been destinies intertwined, but never to meet until LPW when everything aligned. It's not the first time the 7 gimmick has existed. Before it was Jack Pride. Well, it was Pride, the first version of Envy, and Wrath for a little while. And at the time, scouting Thaddeus Archer for potentially Greed, but intertwined, never meant to cross. Fast forward to now, this version is different. The last version, Pride was trying to fully brainwash these people into his group, have full unadulterated control over them. Whereas now, he's it's the second time around. Pride's a lot smarter. You don't need to brainwash these people. You just need to prove your worth to them. Give them the reason to trust you. And a man like TJ Cannon is perfect. He is, like Pride's been saying, he is the good soldier. He is the right hand. There is nothing TJ will not do for Pride. Mars is meant to balance that out. And he seems to be this perennial thorn in the side of Pride. Can't quite get with the program. And once 7 is all on the same page, like you said, their most formidable group, there's no one that will be able to stop 7.
Yeah, It's true. It's true.
Now, yeah. Speaking of Mars, I was just looking at the LPW 15 graphic. Are we sure that's not Mars on that Scramble match graphic? Are we?
It's a black and white photo. Cannot confirm. It could be. They're basically the same person.
Yes, between him, I've never seen Reed Matthews and Mars in the same room together, so I cannot confirm nor deny it's not the same person.
Oh, that's good stuff. That is good stuff.
Yeah, well, even if anyone's up to date with their tales from the undercard, the Rads in the past have tried to kidnap Mars and ended up stealing thickness. So
yeah,
we are unfortunately up to speed on Tales from the Undercard because somehow magically we make Tales from the Undercard.
Yeah, they talk about us on
weekly
on that show too. They just
them in their 99-cent Viper shades from the gas station. No shame to that, but
no, none at all.
So speaking of the Rads, we'll just go ahead and say it. You guys came up short at getting those tag titles. Is there plans in place for Seven to maybe make another charge at those titles and get some more gold to flank with you as the Scramble champion?
Well, obviously that is the long-term goal. First things first, we have to get our house in order. Obviously, we've got this match coming up with TJ versus Mars.
Yes.
Sometimes brothers got to fight. Sometimes brothers got to fight.
It's proven. You look at kids growing up, sometimes a couple of kids got to throw down, get it out of their systems, and then everything can be better. So hopefully that's how that's going to go.
Do you have any concerns that there will be lasting effects though? Like, do you think it will be that? Like, hey, you have faith that get it out of your system, boys, and then we're back to it? Or do you think that this won't solve the problem? Maybe are there concerns at least?
Well, the way Mars has been talking, feels like he's trying to get free, and he's getting further off course. The closer we're getting to this match. I don't know if you saw the promo he just put out with his little trust me wink at Pride there. Not impressed there. He just seems to think more and more and more he knows better. So it's hard to say how things are going to go.
Yeah.
Sometimes they got to learn, right?
You said, sometimes the best of friends fight. Sometimes brothers fight. Like, it happens. Sometimes you got to let it out. And then you kind of progress from there. So you got to.
But all I'm gonna, as an avid fan here, if I was Mars, I'd be careful winking at Pride. That's all I'm saying. Like, you don't want to poke the bear. It's one thing to fight your brother, but it's another to poke the bear.
I was just gonna say you should not poke the bear.
Well, if we look at the story of LPW up to this point, Jack lost the match to Von Vertigo, and he got grounded. Pride goes on this wonderful winning streak, runs into Michael, who has to drop a literal house on him to get the win. So the only guy on the roster that's pinned Pride's shoulders to the mat. Then you fast forward to this Scramble match, and look who Pride pinned.
Yep.
Come full circle. Don't piss off Pride.
There you go.
That's right. That's what we're trying not to do on the show, because we would like to have you and Pride back. Whatever,
of course,
So we're trying to be nice to Pride there.
Yeah.
We almost got yelled at on socials once or twice from Pride, and I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, I don't want that to continue. He's
an angry fella.
You've spoken how you've worked at other promotions all throughout Canada and stuff like that. So, and you've been with LPW since the jump here, since the start with us. So, when did you notice that this company was going to be a little different? It seemed, it's picked up a lot of steam right from the jump. It's getting better and better and better. Obviously, the talent is insane. The matches are incredible. But when did you but it's the atmosphere. I feel like the positivity. We've had MRB on here. We've had TFA on here, and they all speak to how everybody's rooting for each other. There's no politics, none of the stuff you might see elsewhere and that you've heard all these, stories of in the history of wrestling, all the politicking and things like that. So when did you first realize that, like, wow, I think this place is going to turn into what it has, and like, you know, will continue to prosper into like something truly special?
Honestly, I kind of got that feeling really early on. This is a story I've told. Like, I was really when I'd come back to wrestling, it's kind of like it felt a lot like going through the motions for me, and I was really questioning if I was still like down for wrestling. And it's because of those early LPW shows. And it was after the my first actual LPW match against the Lumberjack and Mo, and the way the crowd responded, and then the backstage was such a huge thing because, like you were saying, there's all the stories about politics, and it's being in the locker rooms that are politic heavy is just draining on a person. Like, to have to be on guard, like wondering if, you know, whatever might come across. It sucks to be in an environment like that. And LPW is everything that kind of locker room isn't. Like you're saying, like everyone wants everyone to get better, wants everyone to succeed. Super supportive. Like, there's no one in the locker room I couldn't go to if I had to, like, hey man, can I just like run this spot by you? Hey, can I, like, everyone is there to help everyone. And it is like, I look forward to those shows each and every month. It is the highlight of my month, just getting to hang out with all my friends, because the locker room is basically just all my friends. So it's like, not enough good things to say about it. And so as far as knowing when things were going to like really like take off, it was once you started to notice the pattern after the first show, and the next show was better, and the next show was better, and the next show was better. And it's like, okay, well, this is just immediately picking up speed. And with that pattern of everything being better than the previous, it's just like a matter of time till this just really blows up.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I think that what you spoke to, like the trust, that has to help in the spot department. You talked about, hey, I can go to somebody and mention I want to try this spot, and then, you know, have that discussion. Cause like like you said, like MRB had to throw a literal house on you. That spot was Son of Irish. Like, that comes in that locker room, because I have to imagine pulling off some spots like that. You definitely want to feel like you trust the person you're working with, and they have your best interest at heart, and you have theirs, because I'm sure, you know, there's other locker rooms where it's like, oh, I approached them about that, you know, spot, and they weren't really feeling it, but they agreed to it. So now I'm questioning it, but, you know, I bet does that help? Does that definitely, you know, makes those moves out there that we watch and go, holy shit, that looked painful. You're like, oh, it's a walk in the park.
Yeah, like that is honestly, like, it's the biggest thing in wrestling, being able to trust who you're in there with. If you can't trust them, if you're questioning, like, if I was getting ready for something for a match and there was anything I was questioning, if I couldn't go ask that person about that and figure it out, then probably shouldn't be doing that thing, because the trust isn't there. And with the LPW roster, like, it's just the trust is there with pretty much everybody. So I shouldn't say with everybody, it is there. So
hell yeah. If I could steal the spotlight real quick, JPJ.
You do it, man.
We've got 12 minutes till Quizplex.
As
we've mentioned at the top, it's Jack Pride's friend, Thaddeus Archer III, reigning champion, going against Polo Del Mar and the Thrillbilly Silas from the NWA, with Zach, the awesome host of Quizplex. And I think Spencer pops in and out of that thing too sometimes. I don't know. He tries to keep score. He does a lot. He referees, he scorekeeps, he does it all. But stay tuned at 9:00 right here on this channel for that. And before I forget, I'm not letting you out of here without asking. I don't think you know where I'm going with this. Ms. Force. The greatest faction in wrestling history, not named 7, mind you. Please explain to me how that came to be, because I was sitting there on that Monday night and I knew the show was in Edmonton. Yep. We were pumped about it. And like, for me, just as a fan of this, and to get to talk to you guys, like having the MRBs and the Stephen Crows on the shows and the Jack Pride's going, I know those guys. Oh my God, is that who I think it is? Like, tell me, how did that come to be?
That was just honestly for me. I don't watch wrestling regularly, so I didn't even realize that they were going to be in Edmonton with any sort of time to try and like send off emails to get myself on the show. So I was like a last minute addition where they got told, hey, we need some more extras. And then I was reached out to. It's actually MRB that was like, hey, I'm doing this thing. Do you want to also do this thing?
Nice.
And then made it work with my regular life job. And because that's a huge opportunity. And then got in there and the agent that was going for the spot came and he's just like, you, and he grabbed all of us and like, hey, we need you down the hall. And they sent us off, gave us shirts for it. And just like, honestly, it was just so cool.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like, obviously you said you've been a wrestling kid since day one. And you did say you were more of a WCW person, but still you were watching Raw and, WWE. Like, you're on Monday Night Raw, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Like, that's just cool as shit.
I can't take that away from you.
Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. So like the great thing about that is they didn't immediately tell us what our spot was going to be. They just go here. This is what you need to be wearing and wait, and you'll get more instruction down there. So my top 2 favorite wrestlers of all time, saying I'm a WCW guy, Chris Jericho, and somebody that spent a lot of time with him. And I really think Jericho helped him hone his craft on the mic, The Miz. So we're backstage and it's MRB and it's Stephen Crow and it's me. And we hear someone say, oh yeah, this is a spot with The Miz. And they said, and I was, what? And I turned to Crow and I was just like, did they just say The Miz? And I just had this like, and as soon as he was just like, yeah, they said The Miz, it's going to be with him. And I had a fanboy moment and I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah.
Got it all out of my system as The Miz walked in the room so I could be professional, do all this stuff. And then he came, it was actually super cool. So we did the whole spot. And then he came up when we were all done, shook all our hands. Hey, thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot.
Nice.
So like super humble about the whole thing and being able to see how he works through, obviously just a small glimpse into it, but how he goes into doing a promo and then doing those TV spots. It was cool to be able to see him work, doing something he's so good at, and then getting to shake his hand after was pretty awesome for me.
How hard was it to start cheesing on screen? Because like you said fanboy, and like I do that all the time where I'm like, I know I should act like I've been here before, but I haven't been here before, but I need to be professional. Like, how do you just hold, like, you guys were just stonewalled. He's like, this is Miz Force. And the 3 of you were just like, yep.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd be dying in my head.
There was a lot of mental exercise going on to keep my face just on point.
Yeah. That's cool that he came up and did the handshake and all that stuff too. From everything I've heard, he's a pretty humble, pretty like swell guy. And at the end of the day, of all the wrestlers, that dude, he doesn't get the credit he deseres. Absolutely. At all. That match he had with Seth Rollins like a month ago, I don't know if you saw it. If you haven't, I would take the time. Ruled. So he's obviously he has the most intercontinental, not even accolades. He does everything that company asks him to do. Everything.
He's good at it.
He's very good
all
at
of it.
it.
He's good at it.
He wakes up at 5 a.m. to go on Good Morning America and go do these interviews and be that guy. Hey, we don't need you on the show for a month. We need you to go to Europe and tour Europe for us. Go over there, do this. He does all that stuff and he does it. And like you said, he's incredible at it. He hits every time. And then when you need him to remind the people, okay, go have a banger match or go cut a banger promo. Yeah. Just like that.
Well, just and like I think a big thing, like early on in his career, there was a lot of, it was rocky.
Yeah,
so,
he wasn't that.
But I don't people just like hung on to that. Oh, yeah, you're that guy. We're going to call you that guy for your whole career. Are you kidding me? Look, like you said, the Intercontinental titles. He's won the WWE. He's a two-time Grand Slam champion.
Two-time.
Yeah. Was he not the first two-time Grand Slam champion?
Yes, he is. Also? I think he still is. The only two-time.
I was going to say, too, I think like you said it. That's people just hung on to that early Miz real world
and he
stuff. But wrestling, he's a perfect example. Wrestling, you can evolve, you can get better. Maybe you were that person going in, but he's clearly, if he was still the person that they labeled him to be from day one, I don't think he'd still
wouldn't have a
here.
job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He literally you watched him turn into a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
You watched him
Without
because
question.
like I'm not a performer. I'm not a wrestler, so I'm not going to sit here but like there were struggles at the beginning. You could tell he was figuring it out, and the crowd was tough on him, and even some of the wrestlers backstage were tough on him apparently too. He went through all that shit.
Rollins is a two-time.
Yeah, Spencer said that Rollins is also
Miz
a two-time. But Miz was the first, But then he literally turned into one of the best promos in the company. He turned into an above-average wrestler in the ring. He turned into everything you would want him to be.
Well, I think the one, like, and that's like when you say the above average wrestler, because he's not going out there and having like the AJ Styles, flashy, can do all the jumps. He's a more mat based, like he's not technical, but like all his matches are solid. There's the psychology is great. He's comparatively, he's more punch kicky than some of the other flashier guys, but he makes it work with everybody. There's nobody he can't put on a good match with. There's nobody he can't make look better by being in there with him.
And that's a role that he fits too. He's one of those guys when they have a big debut coming in or they have a big guy they're calling up or anything, they're like, we need a good first thing for him. Give him the Miz. The Miz will make him look like $1 million. The Miz will make that guy get over.
Yeah, we need this guy over. Perfect. Work with him. Like
it's just like, he just doesn't get the credit he deserves for
not at all.
And I remember some of the promos he was cutting a couple years ago, obviously like that with like Reigns and Cena when he's like, I've been busting my ass for 12 years and saying stuff like that. And the crowd was like, hell yeah. And like getting behind him and stuff.
With Brian on Talking Smack or whatever.
Oh my God.
That is one of the best promos I've seen ever. That was so good. And like, because he believed, like that one was very real, but all of his other promos, like you can tell he believes what he's saying in that moment. And that's why it's just, you can cling to that. You can like buy into that. It's so good.
Yeah.
I still fire that up from time to time. And
it's so good
because it's just a good moment. Because you could tell, like, I don't think there was so much realism. I don't think Brian fully expected the Miz to go there because you could kind of see at first. He's like, "Oh, we're doing this, okay."
Yeah.
And then those two just like went at it for 5 minutes, and it was just wonderful. So it sounds like to me, because we're down to the last couple minutes here with the between two beers before the epic Quizplex that's about to start, that we need to have you back on, friend, to talk more Miz, because we could go for another 20 minutes.
Oh man, you said Jericho too. I could talk about
Jericho.
Jericho had one of the best falls count anywhere matches I've ever seen last night on AEW Dynamite with Rebel.
I don't want to go on a tangent,
amazing.
But I think he's getting underappreciated
because he's still one of the best performers in the world.
Yes.
Currently.
Still, but people are like,
been around for 35 years for crying out loud.
So it's
unbelievable.
Yeah. There's no pleasing some people. It's wild.
No,
we're so fickle. That's fake.
Yeah, Bryan Danielson, fickle. We're all fickle. Honestly, great having you on.
Yes,
we definitely got to have you back whenever you want to come back. Open door policy here at Beards always. But let the people know where you'll be wrestling coming up. Obviously, we know we have LPW 15 at the end of the month, but let the people know where you might else be, where they can find you on social media. Kind of let the people know.
So social media, if you want Instagram, it's at Mind to Jack Pride. Twitter is at Jack Pride, but the I is a 7. Facebook page, Jack Pride. And then as far as like big dates coming up, the Clandestine show before
the night before
the LPW show, probably my 2 biggest dates coming up right now. So
awesome. Love it. We have Ophelia saying this episode was incredible, guys. Bring Jack Pride back soon. And
whenever
Dana,
he wants,
thank you for the comment saying very entertaining. Whenever they want to come back, they can come back. We could talk.
Just show up.
I'll talk wrestling, old wrestling. I'll talk Miz, Jericho. I'll talk anything. I'm ready to go. So you are welcome back whenever you want. Thank you again for being here. We appreciate you.
I just
ahead,
hope
Pluggo.
next time you're on, I know how to speak properly and can formulate a thought, because my God, the sun fried my brain.
I'm going to need you to formulate some thoughts now, because I'm going to need you to do that thing you do.
Oh, that's right.
Will you put us all over
all right.
so we can get out of here and lead into Quizplex?
Thanks again to Jack Pride. You can find me at Pluggo _ on Twitter, at Pluggo Loves Wrestling on all the other social media platforms. You'll find me here this Saturday, first episode debut. Me and Blair Pacheco, the Grainmaker podcast, are going to start talking independent wrestling on the weekend morning, starting this Saturday at 10. We're going to call for exposure, because we're going to start putting more exposure on independent wrestling. And then I will be on True Heel Heat this Saturday as well at 1 p.m. talking Impact Under Siege. But you can find everything that we do here at Beards, at B2 Beards on the social medias. JPJ, you take us out, because that's what we do. Yep. And by the way, you might see something with me and Pride this weekend on the Patreon.
Pay attention to that. Pay attention to that as well. Yeah, you can find me at Joseph _Poulin Jr. on the Twitter machine. But if you type in JPJ Loves Gaming, it'll pop up. You can also find me on twitch.tv at JPJ Loves Gaming. Play some video games over there. Have a good community.
That's right.
But yeah, you can find me here every Wednesday right after AEW Dynamite, doing firmly AEW, and every Thursday night right here, 8 p.m. for Between Two Beards. Again, thank you to Jack Pride for joining us tonight. And stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. We have Quizplex starting right now. Until next week.
I got you.
For Jack Pride, for Pluggo, I am JPJ, and we will see you soon. Peace out.
Them Reds.
Hey there, Pluggo and JPJ. It's Trent's mom, Sue, and I have a bone to pick with you. So, I understand that you guys are being real idiots and spending your entire monthly budget. You've got to be kidding me. This is not the way to be when you're trying to run a business. Your boss, Spencer, is really pissed off at you. I'm pissed off at you. You have some nerve. Get a grip. You have to control yourself. You can't just go out and spend all the money that you're making, you Two Beards guys. Oh no, this is coming out so stupid. Anyway, behave yourselves, or I'm going to cut you off from watching AEW. You're no longer going to get to know, be able to meet my son. What? Oh, or me. I'm sorry, this is like, I don't know. Anyway, thanks so much for being fans. Watch yourselves. Knock it off.